ever been listening to the radio or scrolling through TikTok and a brand new song comes on and you just stop in your tracks thinking, wait a second, I know this song? Well, that's exactly what happened when a superstar like Taylor Swift dropped a new hit and it sounded a lot like a classic from the Jonas Brothers. Today, we are diving right into that moment.
And that's the question, isn't it? The one that sets the internet on fire every single time. Where do we draw the line between a little inspiration, a respectful nod to another artist, and just, straight up copying? Let's get into it.
Because when a song like this drops, the internet doesn't wait for a courtroom. It becomes the judge, jury, and the executioner, all in a matter of hours. The moment fans heard those familiar notes, social media absolutely erupted. This wasn't just a casual chat, it was a full-blown investigation, and everyone with a smartphone became a detective.
So, let's talk about that viral spark. How did this go from just a new song to a massive online debate? Well, it stopped being just a piece of music. It turned into a puzzle, a mystery that thousands and thousands of people were suddenly dead set on solving.
And the reaction was, it was an absolute explosion. You had fan theories spreading like wildfire on Twitter and TikTok. People were literally putting musical charts side by side, analyzing them. Polls popped up everywhere asking, do you hear it? And the memes, my gosh, the memes were multiplying faster than anyone could keep up. The fandoms basically went to war, turning it into this huge informal competition. Okay, so the fans have spoken, loudly. But let's take a step back from the online chaos and get a little more technical. What's really going on under the hood of the music? What do the experts, the musicologists, even the neuroscientists have to say about why these songs feel so connected?
It really all boils down to this one little thing called a chord progression. Now, you could think of that as the musical skeleton of a song, the bones that everything else is built on. And here is the absolute key. In pop music, some of these skeletons get used over and over and over again. So when the experts put these two tracks under the microscope, side by side, wow, they found the chord progression wasn't just similar, it was, and I quote, eerily similar. And yeah, sure, there are some small differences in the melody, a few subtle variations in the rhythm, but they're just not enough to hide that core foundation they share.
For us, the listeners, this creates such a powerful feeling. It's basically auditory déjà vu. You know that feeling, right? Our brains are literally hardwired to spot patterns. It's a survival thing. So when we hear a sequence that's already stored in our memory, it hits us with this intense, sometimes kind of confusing, feeling of recognition.
So, we've talked about the fans, we've covered the music theory, but what about the actual people caught in the middle of all this? Let's shift our focus now, because a controversy like this has a very real, very human cost for the artists at the center of the storm. Can you just imagine for a second, you're Joe Jonas, you're just going about your day, and you hear this new song for the very first time. There's that initial spark of, hey, I know this. Then comes the surprise. And then, maybe, just maybe, a little bit of irritation starts to creep in. It's got to be a really complex mix of emotions.
And you have to remember, for a seasoned artist like Joe Jonas, this is not his first rodeo, not by a long shot. He's been through public controversies before, he knows how the media works, how to navigate the spin, and all that past experience is absolutely crucial because it shapes his entire response now. Every single word has to be weighed so carefully. And that's the tightrope every major artist today has to walk. It's a razor's edge between inspiration and imitation. You want to be influenced by the music you love, but you can't just copy it. It's this constant, high-stakes balancing act between your own creative freedom and being held accountable by the public.
So now, let's zoom the camera out even farther and look at the whole music industry. Because these situations, they don't just happen in a vacuum. There are these huge systemic forces and a bunch of unwritten rules that, honestly, make these kinds of overlaps almost inevitable. Here's where it gets really murky. Music copyright law is notoriously fuzzy. You literally can't copyright a common chord progression. It would be like trying to copyright the color blue. Proving a song was illegally copied takes way more than a viral TikTok video. The truth is, music is a shared creative space, and with sometimes a dozen writers on a single track, the lines of who owns what get blurry, fast. So, what does this actually look like behind closed doors? Well, first you have that creative spark, right? An idea is born. But then the lawyers and producers come in, and their job is to look for trouble before it starts. The final song that we all hear on the radio? It's almost always a compromise. A delicate blend of pure art, legal caution, and just gut instinct.
And look, this isn't a one-off thing. This is a pattern. We saw it with Katy Perry getting tangled in legal battles over, you guessed it, a chord progression. We saw it with Sam Smith navigating similar claims. The trend is crystal clear. In the age of streaming and instant fan feedback, these disputes are happening more and more, and the level of scrutiny on artists is higher than ever before.
All right, so after all of that, the fan debates, the expert analysis, the industry drama, who actually came out on top in this whole situation? I gotta say, the answer is probably not who you think. Everybody was strapping in for a fight. The internet was practically begging for drama. But that is not what happened. Instead, Joe Jonas released this official statement that was just calm, it was measured, it was professional. He completely zigged when everyone expected him to zag, choosing diplomacy over a public feud.
And here is the real kicker, the big twist. All that controversy, it basically acted like a giant, free marketing campaign. After the debate went viral, the streaming numbers for both artists shot up. There was a huge, significant spike. All the arguments and all the memes just made more and more people want to go and listen for themselves.
This whole thing reveals this fascinating kind of upside-down truth about our digital world. The debate, the headlines, what we might call negative attention, it all just fuels discovery. In today's attention economy, it turns out any publicity really is good publicity. The controversy actually turned into a win-win.
So, all of this leaves us with one final massive question. In a world with millions upon millions of songs, with our brains literally designed to love familiar patterns, is true 100% originality even possible anymore? In this world of endless creative echoes, where do we even go from here? It's something to chew on the next time a brand new song gives you that powerful feeling of déjà vu.